is my January wrap-up, so all the books that I read last month, their reviews, and how I rated them. These are the books that I wasn't supposed to read in January, but I ended up reading 6 out of 8 of them. Let's start with the 2 books that I haven't got a chance to pick up last month. The first one is The Lucky One by Nicholas Sparks, which corresponds to 10 Black, and its prompt was TBR bag. And the second one is The Little Women by Louise May Alcott, which corresponds to 6 Black, and its prompt is a book set in North America. These 2 books are going to be put in the book graveyard. Just to remind you one of the roulette rules, the books in the graveyard have a priority in order to fulfill the prompts during the game, which means that before choosing one on my physical TBR pile, I try to use them before. And now let's move to all the books that I read last month, and January was a very satisfaction month. The first book is On the Come Up by Angie Thomas, which corresponds to 26 Black, and its first prompt was POC representation, so person of color representation. This is the second book by Angie Thomas, and it is set in the same city where the events of The Hate You Give took part. In this one, we are following Brie, the daughter of an underground hip-hop legend who died before he hit big. She really wants to be one of the greatest rappers of all time, or at least win her first battle. Throughout her life struggles at home and at school, she finally makes her first song. It goes viral for all the wrong reasons. So Brie has to navigate through all controversy, be aware of the gangsters, and try to fight for her own survival. I loved reading this book because of its different themes and its point of view, because we know the story through the point of view of Brie. So we are involved and we know her thoughts, her feelings throughout all the novel. The first theme here is the realism, so we know how Brie's family struggles to find a normal way to have a normal life. On one side, there's her brother who decided to not continue his studies after his college graduation, and he works in a local pizza takeaway. On the other side, there's Brie's mother who's trying to put the family together after her troubled past as a drug addicted and her rehab. And the second aspect of this realism is through Brie's school life, which is every day more discriminating for a Black girl who's trying to attend school, between suspensions and being target of the school security. The theme is family relationship through Brie's point of view. We know that Brie is afraid of losing her mother again, and she doesn't trust her so much because of her drug addicted past, as well as how different Brie and her brother are, as well as how supportive and a bit strange is Aunt Pooh, who is the only one in the family that supports Brie in her dream of becoming a rapper. And the last theme is obviously the rap music, because it was so interesting reading about references on real rapper and songs. So cool, I think, as well as know how it works with finding this inspiration of new songs, how it works with rhythm and rhymes, as well as how it is to fight in a rap battle. And for all these reasons and the writing style that is so direct and fluent, I gave it 5 stars. If you need one more reason to read this book, here is one of the most captivating quotes, which is There is only so much you can take being described as somebody you're not. And now let's move to the second book, which is Homegoing by Yagiasi, which corresponds to 7 read, and its first prompt was highest on Goodreads. So I simply scrolled on my want to read list, and the highest one was this one. This book begins with 2 sisters with very different destinies. One sold as a slave, the other as a slave trader's wife. The consequences of their fates reverberate throughout all the generations that follows, and this is a family saga throughout centuries and continents. Reading this debut novel is like opening an history book with honest realism, taught by people who were involved in it. His historical parts are so accurate about all those historical events that are labeled as disturbing or uncomfortable, such as the slave trade, civil war, Great Migration, and the modern civil rights movement. This family saga is so beautifully written that it makes you to reconsider history itself and give you a new view on the history of America itself. I gave it 5 stars, and I think it's not enough. If you'd like to have an idea of its realistic and powerful writing style, I give you the following quote. Hell was a place of remembering. Each beautiful moment passed through the mind's eye until it fell to the ground like a rotten mango, perfectly uselessly perfect. And now let's move to a series, and I'm speaking about The Winter Night Trilogy by Catherine Arden, which corresponded to 18 read, and its first prompt was my pick. As I told you at the very beginning of my February roulette TBR game, I made a change for this prompt because formerly I was supposed to read the Ink Trilogy by Alice Broadway, but during the Christmas time I had just started this Winter Night series, and I didn't want to start a new one, and I really was so eager to finish the Winter Night series, and I simply changed the choosing for that prompt. Also because it's my pick, so it's a little bit more freely, and at least it's my game, so my rules. But this doesn't mean that I'm not going to read the Ink Trilogy as soon as possible. So this debut series by Catherine Arden really enchanted me, and it's a 5-star constant rating, book after book. The first book is The Bear and the Nightingale, set in the wilderness of the north parts of the Russian Empire, where winter lasts most of the year, and where Vasilisa's life passes between household and her adventures in the wilderness with her magical friends. Then her widowed father brings home a new wife, a very devotional and religious woman from Moscow. And this is the start of bad and wither times, as well as an evil creature from the forest creeps nearer. Only Vasia knows that fairy tales hide the true knowledge to protect her village and her family. But there is even more to discover. This first book is more folklore related than the other ones, even though all the Russian folklore and fairy tales are highly present throughout the trilogy. I loved the slow-paced plot, as well as that at the very beginning of each book a fairy tale is told, and each fairy tale is in some way linked to the main plot of that book and the main plot of the whole trilogy. And in this first book you really understand that the wild spirit of Vasia reflects the far north Russian atmosphere, as well as her stepmother reflects all the Orthodox doctrine. The quote I chose for this first book is "Left me this mad girl, and I love her well. She is braver and wilder than any of my sons." The second book is The Girl in the Tower. In this one we are following Vasia, who wants to see the world, and her journey disguised as a boy to travel safe. She will fight bandits, and she will reach Moscow, and finally join with her brother Sasha and her sister Olga there. So new adventures, but also dangers, are waiting for her. This second book is more historical, with a high presence of the politics theme. The quote that I chose for the second book is "Wheat." The word drifted across his mind. "We called such women so, because we have no other name." And the last book in this fabulous trilogy is The Winter of the Witch. That is a perfect conclusion for the trilogy. Without give you any spoilers, what you will hope that will come true during the whole series, perhaps it will come. In these last books there are preparations for war as well as an evil return. This time Vasia has to protect both worlds, the one where man lives and the magical one, while she is discovering surprising truths on her and her history. But this last adventure hides difficult and heavy path. And the quote that I want to give you for this last book of that series is "You shouldn't have told them that I was a girl. Then they might have believed I was dangerous." And an additional positive point in order to read the whole series is that at the end of each book there are appendix pages that are very useful, such as author's notes and a glossary, so you will know a little bit more about Russian world and vocabulary. And this is an interesting thing if you're thinking that Catherine Arden is specialized in Russian studies. And the last book for January wrap-up is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Roald Dahl, which corresponded to the pickup for the even numbers card. The story follows Charlie, a poor boy with a very kind heart, who loves his family and especially Grandpa Joe. As well as that after years of silence, Willy Wonka has finally decided to organize a guided tour in his factory for 5 lucky children. The race for the golden ticket is just begun. This book is a classic in children's literature, and I finally had a chance to read it because I just saw the movie with Gene Wilder, maybe also with Johnny Depp, I'm not sure about that. And I'm always curious to know how well or not are movie adaptations. I loved the eclectical character that was Willy Wonka because it's so unpredictable and strange. As well as I loved how Charlie is the perfect good character in a story, because even though he is eager to win one of the golden tickets and being able to visit Willy Wonka's factory, he remains humble. But I gave it 4 stars because I prefer Matilda by the same author. And if you haven't read this book yet, my quote here is the notorious "Greetings to you, the lucky finder of this golden ticket." And that's all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me down in the comments what are your thoughts about these books, and if after watching this video you are going to read one or more of them. As always, leave a big thumbs up if you like this video and don't forget to subscribe. And now we'll wait for you in the next video. Ciao!